Hey guys, it's Roger again from Tree Life, Tree Service 584 Tree. I've been doing tree work for over 20 years. Been running a tree service for over 20 years. Over 25 years experience. I've been doing tree work, chainsaw work, firewood ever since I can remember. We grew up in a small town, and my dad always tried to save money, so while everybody is out playing on the weekends, I was out in the middle of nowhere cutting trees down and cutting up trees for firewood. Anyway, not to ramble and get off the subject, we've had as many as 20, probably 20 employees or more, and for years and years and years, and we did pretty good volume. And here recently, over the last probably five to 8 years, we scaled down, and we had 2 or 3 guys, 4 or 5 guys, and now we're down to 2 or 3 guys. And I just find that we're doing almost the same numbers, but we have more equipment, and we're picking and choosing our jobs, and I'm doing most of the jobs myself with one helper. And even though I'm getting older, I prefer to do it that way because I've had salesmen in the past, and a lot of times, if you have people working for you or for your company, they don't always have the company's best interest in mind or your best interest in mind. So I know it's great to have a bunch of people, everybody's working, lots of equipment, but you have huge payroll. You need equipment for everybody. You need trucks for everybody. So even though you think your sales and your numbers are bigger, it doesn't matter. It's what your take home is. It's what your profit margin is. So I found that after all that's been said and done, it's more profitable and a lot less headache just to do things on your own, or maybe with 1 or 2 people to help you. And also too, it's a lot less headache to have a payroll company or hire everybody through a temp service. Because if you think about it, you want to keep your cash flow rolling, you want to minimize expenses, and you want to stay liquid. So another thing that helps, if you have a temp service or a payroll company, they actually finance your payroll. So say for example, our payroll comes out on Thursday, everybody gets paid Wednesday night, and they bill us for the payroll. So sometimes when money's tight, you can't always pay your payroll exactly on time. They will finance you for a little bit, so your money can pay for your stay in the bank, or it can pay little bills or pay things off, or you can basically, if you're waiting for a few checks, or you're basically waiting to pick up some money from one of the customers, it gives you a little bit of a cushion, a little bit of a leeway. So that way, basically you don't have to deplete your accounts before your money comes in. So it just gives you that little week window, or a couple day window, or maybe a week or 2 window, to where basically because you don't always get paid directly after the job. Sometimes when you're doing work like today, I'm going to pick up some pay from a job I did last week. I just didn't have time, and the customer didn't have time to stop, and we had been missing each other. So if that was a couple $1,000s, and that was supposed to go into payroll, and you didn't have a couple $1,000s extra, that could put a hurting on a small business, because everybody needs to get paid. If you can't pay your employees, what's nice is with some of these services, they offer credit cards and debit cards, or basically the employees can get paid earlier. So Thursday, morning or Wednesday night, instead of getting paid on Friday, they have access to their money. So that's just one thing I recommend that's made our life a lot easier. Another thing was an answering service. And it's nice to have a local answering service because I'm always making adjustments, and basically they answer the phones for you. I can't do everything. I'm doing the sales, I'm doing the marketing, I'm returning phone calls, I'm doing the estimates, I'm doing the jobs, I'm cleaning up the jobs, I'm orchestrating basically almost every aspect of the business, which I like doing. I'm getting a little older to do that, but basically by scaling down and picking and choosing our jobs, I'm almost able to keep up. But if it wasn't for my answering service, if it wasn't for our payroll company, if it wasn't for our accounting, and basically my mom helps me still a lot with sending out thank you letters, keeping track of the bank account and stuff like that. You need a small team of people to run a small company. So there's just tons of things that goes on behind the scenes that people don't realize, and it gets overwhelming when you're trying to do it all yourself. So, but having a bunch of employees and have a bunch of equipment is not always comes up roses. It's sometimes I found out that the more employees you have, the more headaches you have. So I try to eliminate, I got it down to just a few people, and we pick and choose our jobs, and the answering service answers all our calls. The payroll company finances all our payroll. I'm even on payroll. We basically put everybody on payroll, and everything's financed through the finance company and through the temp service. So I'm just trying to make it as simple as possible, and trying to share with you guys what I've done and what I've learned over the past 20 years of running a company. Tree services are hard to duplicate, so it's really hard to expand past 3 or 4 crews. Once you do that, it kind of gets away from you, unless you're doing power line work, or you have jobs that last for months or years. Each one of our jobs lasts just a day, half a day, or a few days. We don't have like these big, huge government contracts, so it's mostly residential work. We have a few commercial clients, but residential work we prefer because we get paid almost daily, and that helps our cash flow, and we don't have to finance these huge jobs or get loans to finance jobs. So anyway, I'm just had a few quick thoughts I thought I would share with you guys. It's not always a cup of tea to run 4 or 5 crews. It's not always the best thing to have a huge company, because a lot of times you look at all these other tree services, they're running 4 or 5 crews, they've got brand new equipment. It seems like they're always busy, and then they're underbidding you on jobs. You're just like, man, how do they do it? A lot of times they bid these jobs, underbid you, and they do them so cheap just to keep the guys working. It's not always they're not always profiting off these jobs. It's just when you have a bunch of employees staring at you and you're burning through hours, sometimes you take jobs at a loss, basically just to get the guys moving, get the equipment out there, get the exposure. And sometimes it doesn't always pan out, trust me. So you little guys starting out, don't get discouraged, or don't be envious of these bigger companies that are all over the place with this bright new shiny equipment doing these huge jobs. It's not all what it's cracked up to be. You're actually, after going through all this, I found out it's better to stay small and keep it all. Do as much as you can yourself. Get 1 or 2 helpers. Get yourself an answering service, and get yourself a temp service or payroll company, and just stay and pick and choose your jobs. Don't go out there and buy all this brand new fancy equipment. I've had just about everything known to man. I've had claw trucks, 3 or 4 claw trucks. I've had the biggest, baddest stump grinders. I've used the hugest, biggest, baddest bobcats. We've had friends come in with $1 million pieces of equipment, $500,000 pieces of equipment. And after I've went through all the numbers and just basically seen everything in action and seen the bottom line, I'd rather stay small. And I know you guys probably are thinking I'm nuts or I'm crazy, but trust me, in this line of work, especially nowadays, you don't know what's going on. You're better off to buy your equipment cash, stay small, slowly build. And when you get to the point where you're doing like $250,000 a year, you need to set back and look at the numbers and figure out if it's really worth it to hire a bunch of people and buy a bunch of equipment. And you don't realize that if you're doing $1 million or over $1 million, your bottom line might still be the same, or it might be less. So it depends on if you want to have headaches all the time or just make a nice steady income and slowly, gradually build your savings and your investments, or if you want to go all out and compete with the Joneses. Because trust me, when you get to that point and you sit down one day and you look at all the numbers, you're going to realize that maybe this little redneck little hit guy from Orange Park, Florida maybe knew what he was talking about. So anyway, I know I'm rambling, but just think about it. And once you get to that point, maybe always run the numbers. And when you get to your bottom line, that's what's important. It doesn't matter how much income or how much revenue you have coming in. It's how much you have after you pay all your bills. And I believe that once you get to a maximum that you can do yourself with 2 or 3 people, the profit margin is going to be hard to beat when you have a bunch of crew after that. So I've decided to stay where I'm at, and I'm happy where I'm at, and I have a lot more time, and I have a lot less headaches just staying with one crew, running that crew, having all my equipment paid off, and picking and choosing my jobs. So, all right, guys, thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time. If you have any questions or comments, leave them at the bottom, and I try to get back at least once a week and go through all the questions and comments. Have a great day. God bless. Be safe.